do try to lead by example. And what I say is, I'm in the field. You travel so much. I'm sorry, and you can't manage from behind a desk.
And I love that phrase. You always said that too, which is I cannot manage from behind a desk, especially in sales. And I'm like, that's perfect. That's perfect. You should be out in the field.
Right. So I want to be hearing not only what, our team is saying and doing, but I also want to be with those customers and see what they're seeing, hearing, and doing, because that's your first indicator of what's going on in the marketplace, right? Is being out in the field and listening to them and getting feedback from them on where their business is and how are we integrating. But when you get back to the person, I definitely want to see them hungry for the next sale. Finish what you started, but then get on to the next one. I want to see them, be connected to their customers, in a real deep way. And I think the phrase I usually use is I want you to own that customer, right? I think in the marketing world, you hear stickiness is another thing that you hear quite a bit. But those are my top two, and then there's a lot of subcategories that come off of those. But yeah, I want to see you be hungry for it and get after it. I think maybe one of the other words I would use is discipline. I think you have to have if you are on the road and you are, working out of hotels, and some people have young families, all that balance. And so you have to be disciplined. So those are probably the three things I would say I'm looking for. I want discipline. I want, a get after attitude, but I want them to also have that human effect so that they can get to know their customers.
Yeah. What's your, when you're on the road, what's your kind of little signature thing that you personally like to do? Michael Dresser's thing when he's on the road. I know for some people it's like, I got to go run, right? For me, it's a creature of comfort type of a thing. It's just the one thing that I like to do, and it's easy, is I like to go find a bowl of pho wherever I go. Whatever city I'm in, I'm like, I want to go find the best bowl of pho that I can get because it's cheap. It's easy for me to do. It makes me feel I don't know why. It just makes me feel comforted. I'm good with a nice warm bowl of soup, even if it's in the middle of summer in freaking Houston. I just want to go find that. It's my little journey adventure piece that I get to personally have when I'm on the road. Do you have anything like that you like to do?
This will sound, probably will sound odd. It depends on where I'm at in the world. So if I'm an East Coast, I live on the East Coast. So it's easy for me to travel west, right? So I am always up early, whether I'm on the East Coast, and early's relative. My brother-in-law gets up at 4:30. I think he's nuts to do that, but he just wakes up and that's his day. Somewhere between, that 5:30, 6 o'clock time frame, I'm trying to get up. But when I'm on the road, my thing is I want to get after emails immediately in the morning. That gives me a sense of accomplishment for me. It also means I know I'm good until I get back, because who knows when I'm getting back to the hotel room. Right. So I definitely, and so the prior day's emails get answered in the morning. It's sometimes rough for me. Now, if there's a pressing issue, somebody's blowing up my phone, the minute I'll get back to the hotel, I'm going to try to get that answered for them, or maybe I'm texting or shuttling something off to the office to say, let's get that done. But then my back end is I try to get an afternoon workout. Now, these conferences are
nightmares.
They're nightmares, because you go from the conference to a dinner, and then you're just, for me,
you may or may not see the sunlight that day or that several days in a row.
It's killer, right? Mm-hmm. It truly is killer. And a lot of people think that these are, super glamorous and, these are, great because all you're doing is entertaining and that's just so much fun. But it actually is very taxing, right? Because it's, there's some jovialness. There's some, like I say, there's that discussion of hey, how's the kids? What's going on with your life? Blah, blah, blah. But then there's also let's talk business, right? So your brain is constantly on. Mm-hmm. And so for me.
And it's toggling all over the place.
Yes. So for me, I take it in two different phrases, right? It's when I'm out seeing customers, I can usually schedule my time where I get that morning and I can get that afternoon in. When I'm at a conference, it really is getting up, getting stuff done. And then when I get back to the room at 9, 10, 11 o'clock, it's just a breath, and it's just go to bed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this is one of the hardest things that I've had to do, and I've gotten better on it, and it does speak to the discipline part of it, which is when I'm on the road, I'm already trying to be present in everything I'm doing, but as I'm getting towards the end of a trip, I really start thinking about okay, how am I going to show up back at home now, right? And that's okay, I've got a little one at home. I've got my wife. I've got my responsibilities. Has the yard been cut? Like has whatever the responsibilities and chores are. Do you go through a series of kind of like almost like mentally preparing? And I think that does speak to the discipline part. And that's what I really kind of am like wanting to anchor down on here is that when you come home, your home life has to be balanced too. You have to have it like you got to be able to come into that thing. So what do you do? Do you do any type of like preparation before you get home and stuff just to make sure that you're like totally locked in at home too? Because they're missing you for the next whatever it is, 2, 3, 4 days potentially. And you don't want to miss that, right?
Yep.
That's almost, in my opinion, almost I would say that's more important than even what the business stuff is going. Because if that gets off kilter at any point, that will affect everything else around you.
So great point or great questioning there. Because again,
And we don't talk about that.
we really don't because we're business.
Right, we're talking business.
Well,
We
don't bring that in here. This is business.
Right. Give me I want numbers and I want transaction. I want ROI on money spent, right? And I get
Correct.
that. That's all fine. But that human aspect, your home life is critical to that all success. And I don't want it to be that for that. But at the same time, it's like that is part of it.
No. Well, we get back to again, we're all human beings. We all have something outside of work, but work is certainly very central to what we do. I look at it too as this. The other thing, going back to what we were talking about with OEL, for me too, I loved the family aspect of it. Yeah, I've worked for a couple different family businesses, and the good culture, right leadership at these family businesses make everybody along the way feel like family. And at OEL, I say, make me feel like family. No. I really feel like it is a family. And I like that a ton. But what happens? Well, when I left this time, Noelle's like, you're going to be gone for how long?
Mm-hmm.
When are you coming home?
Mm-hmm.
And so some of that preparation is done on the plane. To be honest with you, it's like, okay, let's take, business Mike out of the equation here and let's go back into, now I'm an empty nester, right? All of our kids are grown and gone. So it's just the two of us and the 2 dogs. But, I really do try to make sure when I'm on the road, I'm talking and, communicating with my spouse as much as possible. Sometimes I can't, I'm just toast. I just don't have the bandwidth, but a lot of times it's, you got to keep that interconnection even when you're on the road. And then the other thing too, is when I get home, I still date my wife. Like I don't take that lightly. So, we have a date night. Sometimes it gets moved around a little bit during the week, but, traditionally it's on Friday night, and that's the time when it's just the 2 of us. We don't invite friends. We don't invite family. It's just us. And that usually I'm coming home, Thursdays or Fridays. So that's that reconnection, point, like, well, where are we at? What's going on? And that's really what tries to keep me grounded as much as possible for the home life. And then, then it's family too. So then it's, more family, the more family I have around me, the better. Unfortunately for my central core of my side of the family is a couple hours away. So it's sort of a surrogate family kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I try to decompress on the plane. It's not that much of a drive from my house to the airport. And so then when I get home, it's like, okay, let's the 2 of us, what are we doing? Hey, we're going out to dinner. And that's usually our thing is, we'll go out to dinner and we'll have a good conversation and try to catch back up to, okay, where are we going tomorrow? What's the next day?